7:30 on the clock this morning. Thank you for joining us for our continuing weather coverage this morning on WFAA Plus. We are in Parker County, where you can see several RVs there at an RV park near the Wise County line, blown over due to those high winds this morning. Again, storm damage that we are seeing across our area. This is just a piece of the aftermath that we are seeing today. I'm Mark Istook, and it's been a busy morning.
Yeah, thank you for being with us here on WFAA Plus for our extended coverage. I'm Kara Sewell. We've got meteorologist Greg Fields to talk about where the storms are now. And Greg, we're seeing so many more instances right now of people reporting damage, school delays because of power outages. So this is something that people are going to be dealing with throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah, we are. Now that those storms have moved out of the Metroplex, we are going to be able to get out and kind of assess the damage that we saw. These storms were very intense, as we know, moving in 70+ mile-per-hour winds as that complex of storms worked its way in just before 5 o'clock. It started moving into the western parts of the Metroplex. But as you see, looking out to DFW Airport, and it's still over 2 hours with the delays out there, 136 minutes to be exact with the delays out at the airport because of the storms that have moved through. But they have moved away from DFW Airport. They have moved across the Metroplex, and they were moving very quickly. So you see what it looks like now over the past 3 hours with the air radar, how strong those storms were as they worked their way across the area. Winds, again, 60+ miles per hour. Had that brief spin up, that one tornado warning a little bit earlier. That was just before 5 o'clock for the southwestern parts of Tarrant County, the southern part of Tarrant County, northern Johnson County a little bit earlier. So we'll still see that those intense storms moving off to our east right now. We did have Lamar County that's just been its severe thunderstorm warning has been allowed to expire. That part of the storm has worked its way a little farther east. But as we head a little farther south, Anderson, Henderson, Van Zant, still until 7:45 with those stronger thunderstorms moving through there. But those have worked their way a little farther east, getting on into East Texas now. And we will zoom in on that area near Palestine, Anderson County, Freestone, Leon counties, still looking at a severe thunderstorm warning until 8:30. That storm has moved right over Palestine. Intense lightning, maybe even some small hail and strong winds associated with that part of the storms as well. So here's what it looks like as we give you the broader view right now of what is happening as far as the intensity is concerned. That's pushing on into East Texas, the Arklatex region now. We will have some strong west winds behind this line of storms that we'll be having to deal with throughout the day. But it looks like the severe weather threat certainly winding down across the Metroplex, and that will be the case across the rest of North Texas here over the next couple of hours. But we have seen some damage scattered about the Metroplex. Our crews have been out all morning as well, so I do want to get it over to Janelle Ford. You're still in Parker County at the RV park, so what do you have an update for us, what it looks like there now?
You know what, Greg, the big thing right now is just people assessing the damage and starting the cleanup process at this point. I want to give you a better shot of another RV that we were just telling you about during the 7 o'clock half hour. If you take a look, you can see this RV with the momentum on the back. That's the one that tipped over. And then the one with the gray wolf on the side, we actually talked to the man that was inside of that RV during all of these storms. I've told you we spoke to the property manager for this RV and tiny home community. She told us that a total of 4 RVs toppled over early this morning. Again, you're looking at one of them. This is the one where the one injury was. So far, only one injury being reported. It was the woman who lives in this trailer here, the Momentum trailer. We spoke to the man that lived in the Gray Wolf trailer. He told us that he was inside of that trailer, heard a lot of commotion outside, heard the wind, thought that there was a tornado. He says that's how strong the wind was blowing. He said at one point it felt like his trailer had lifted up a little bit and then went down, was filled with pressure inside, and then he heard a loud boom. The sound of that boom was that trailer next door rolling over and knocking into his RV. Fortunately, it didn't topple all the way over into it, and he said that he doesn't have a lot of damage inside, but he said it was a very scary moment. They waited until the storm kind of cleared out, and then neighbors began coming out and trying to make sure that everyone was okay. They were going RV to RV, checking on their neighbors. And again, the woman in that Momentum RV was taken to the ER early this morning. We do not have a status update on how she's doing. We do not know the extent of her injuries. We just know that she was taken to the ER by one of her neighbors. At this point, neighbors are now starting, it's after 7 o'clock in the morning. Folks are waking up, folks are coming out, taking a look around, checking in on each other. And the majority of the folks that we've talked to, the overall consensus here is that they're just very, very happy and very lucky that no one was seriously hurt. or killed when that storm swept through this area. I'm going to send it over to Brianda for a look at traffic. Brianda, we saw semis flipped over, and I know that that was something that was seen all throughout the Metroplex this morning.
All throughout, and it was just so dangerous out on the roadways, and people are still getting into crashes as well. For instance, here on 80 at Lawson Road, this is in Kaufman County, the crash was actually just cleared. It was right here, involved a couple of cars, but you could see there's still delays in the eastbound lanes, and it looks like there's some high water on there as well. I've seen so many cars all throughout the morning just going straight through there. Also, there's not a report on this, but I did happen to see it pop up on my cameras. Loop 12 at Singleton, this is in Dallas County, and it looks like there are multiple semis out here. It looks like one of these might be on its side. Hopefully the cameras clear up a little bit, but there's only a couple lanes that can get by. I think only one lane can get by as of right now. But I do want to check on in to Spur 408, where I wanted to show you this car here on the side. This is near Keast. It kind of looks like it ran off the road, and it does look like the roads are super, super shiny, very wet out there. So, you know, skidding is definitely possible, as you could see with that car right there. But I want to pull up some maps for you. Rockwall County, I had some cameras for you, but they don't seem to be working right now. We are seeing westbound delays on 30 in Rockwall County, and that is before getting over to Lake Ray Hubbard. Once you cross the lake, there's also more delays that way as well. And let's see if my camera will pop up. Okay, an update to this crash. Actually, within the past 2 minutes, this crash at 6:35 in the eastbound lanes near Forest just cleared. It looks like cars are able to get by there just fine right now. All lanes are back open. So if that's on your morning commute, definitely be careful. But Tarrant County, we're also seeing this crash still being cleared at 121 at Holtom there. Only one lane can get by. That's in the eastbound lanes. I do want to toss it on over to Chris Sadeghi, who is out on the roadways. Are you still out on the roads, Denton County?
Yes, Brianda, we are right here at 121 and 35. In fact, we're about to hop on 121 heading towards Louisville, where there's some reports of a possible roof collapse at a warehouse. We will hopefully have that information soon, because right now we are fighting through some traffic. The brake lights have increased this morning as the sun comes up, or at least the light. I shouldn't say the sun, still very cloudy, but the traffic, the morning commute, we are in the thick of it, and it is not made any easier with the wet roads and the streets, the ponding that we are seeing. Of course, the storm has blown through, and we were out on the highway when it did. In fact, I want to show you video from a little bit earlier. We saw so much of this. That is 18-wheelers sitting on their side. This one was one of two in North Lake alone on 35, and the fire department there was able to get this driver out and into an ambulance. He appeared that he would be okay. He was sitting upright, but I lost track of just how many of the 18-wheelers that we saw blown over this morning because of those high winds, those big vehicles. They catch all that wind, and it causes them to shift and swerve and sometimes end up on their side, like we saw a lot of this morning. So as you get out to take your drive to work, keep that in mind, and also make sure that you're leaving plenty of time or an alternate route. Try to take a look at your typical way into work or wherever you're heading this morning, and make sure there's no significant backups, because it is a wet and at times wild morning commute. Guys, back to you. Or actually, no, we're going to send it out to Brittany Moncrief, who is in Irving. Brittany, how does it look out where you're at?
Well, I can tell you, Chris, out here in Irving, there is significant damage that came through when this storm came. I'll step to the side so you can see this apartment building behind me on Pioneer Drive in O'Connor. You can look and see how that entire wall has fallen down. The ceiling has collapsed. You can see all the bricks that are down there on the ground. There are some people outside that are waiting and just watching. There's someone on the roof there, and I'm guessing probably checking some of the damage there. We did talk to Irving police, and they told us so far they're having haven't been any reports of any injuries, but they're still canvassing and assessing the damage in this area. They also tell us that they set up a command center right over here at the end of the block here. You'll see a lot of officers. There's the firefighters that are there. That's where that command center is set up right now. We are not allowed to go past where we are standing right now. You can see those poles are down, the electrical poles. So you want to be careful in this area with the live, in case there's any live wires. And so that's why we are behind the yellow tape, and the residents on the other side are behind another set of tapes that's on that opposite side there. And that's not the only pole that's down, because back to my right, there's another pole, two actually poles that are down too here. And you can see a lot of the wires that are down on the ground. So this storm really came through and did some significant damage in this area. As you can imagine, Pioneer Drive is blocked off in both directions. We have police that are at all intersections of this street. They're not letting anyone out or in. We did see a resident who showed, the ID to prove that she lived here. I'm not sure she was able to make it back in this way, but they're trying to keep everyone at a safe distance because of how bad the damage is in this area. And you can't see it right now from the angle that we're standing, but behind us is a Cost Plus store, and in that parking lot there's just debris everywhere. So the storm really came through and did a lot of damage in this area. Again, there is a command center stand that is in place here at the end of Pioneer and O'Connor, and police are also telling people that there is a displacement center that they have set up for any families who have been displaced. You can go to Georgia Farrows, and we're going to send it back over to you, Greg.
All right, I'll take it here from here. Yeah, we're looking at the storms that are moving out of the area, but Irving, lots of extensive damage there. So thanks for that update there with Brittany Moncrief. Yeah, we're looking at the storms really winding down across the Metroplex here this morning. Now, we are going to talk a little bit more about those winds that we're going to be dealing with behind this system as it works its way on out of the area, but still a couple of active warnings that we do want to update you on as well. And the one that we do have in our area in Anderson, Henderson, Van Zant counties, still looking at some strong, intense storms there with those winds, maybe 65 miles per hour in those areas. But the bulk of that really starting to move into portions of East Texas now, but still until 7:45. So another couple of minutes here. So we'll see if that is allowed to expire in those areas, getting a little farther east. But you see that moving on into Smith County as well. So that's getting on into East Texas here this morning with the strongest part of this line of storms. And it has been intense as it has blown through our area right now, getting on into East Texas. And that's where we'll continue to see the damaging wind threat moving a little farther east. That the isolated tornado threat as well will continue in those areas well off to our east. But you can see the clearing line back to our north and west as we go later into this morning. We're actually going to clear out. The showers and thunderstorms have moved on through the area, but it was intense for a couple of hours as that line of storms moved in just before 5 o'clock and has worked its way all across the area here for this morning. So as we look at our timecast once again, you can see what it looks like taking you ahead into 9-10 o'clock here this morning. All the storms pushing into East Texas, so the severe threat will intensify out over the Arklatex region, portions of Arkansas and Louisiana as we go through the rest of this morning. And then for us, the other story will be these strong winds that we're going to have to deal with for the rest of today. The storms are going to be gone by midday and as we head home later today, but you're certainly going to have to hold on to the steering wheel with both hands for that afternoon commute as those winds will be quite strong. And I do want to bring in meteorologist Cassie Hyder once again to talk about the wind advisory that we have in effect and what we can expect the rest of the day.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. We do have that wind advisory that will be in place for later today, or it's already really in effect, but it goes all the way through later this evening. We're talking 9 o'clock this evening. So we've already seen wind gusts as high as around 70 miles an hour, but that was with those storms that were moving through parts of the metro. But later this afternoon, behind the front, we're still expecting very strong wind. And with the kind of wind that we're expecting, you can even see some power bumps and power outages with 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So that's still going to be a possibility. Maybe you lost power early this morning, got it back. Well, there's still a possibility you could lose it later again today. So make sure you also secure those loose outdoor objects. I know a lot of people have trash day today. Some of us have not, or some of us have put out the trash cans, and well, you're probably going to have to run down the street to get them. Now, looking at the current wind gusts, at least here in the metro, we're starting to see some of that wind die down, but the biggest wind gust that we're seeing right now is 46 mile an hour in McKinney and a 30 35 over in Mesquite. But eventually this afternoon, everyone's going to get that wind once again. That wind is going to be out of the west to eventually the northwest. And we're still seeing gusts at this point. This is going to be noon today. 34 in downtown Dallas, a 43 in Stephenville, but we've got a 50 in Eastland, a 50 in Brownwood, a 54 mile per hour wind in Coleman, and we've got a 45 in Albany. So this wind is coming in out of the west to northwest. Eventually, by later this evening, the wind will subside a little bit, but this is still very windy. We're still looking at gusts anywhere between about 35 to nearly 45 miles an hour across parts of really all of North Texas. So the farther west you go, eventually that wind will subside a little bit more quickly, but it's also going to be blowing in a lot of dust from out to the west. Now, finally, by the time we get into Wednesday morning, we're starting to see that wind die down a little bit by finally Wednesday afternoon and evening. Now it's a more light wind. We're going to get rid of that wind for at least a day or so. But as that front continues to move off to the east behind these storms, we're talking about a lot of blowing dust. You're going to want to limit your time outdoors for sure. It's been so dry in parts of West Texas and out in the Panhandle that what it's going to do is blow all that dirt and dust into the metro. So that could even limit some visibilities later on today. And you certainly don't want to breathe that in by any means, but that could be an ongoing issue all the way through tomorrow morning. Something else we're going to be dealing with is the fire threat, mainly west of I-35. We're talking about an elevated fire threat for some of our far northwest counties, and the farther south you go, we're actually going to be in that critical category. So the fires are something we're going to have to watch very closely, especially any areas that did not get any rain today. Now, after we get past today, tomorrow still looks a little breezy, but this wind's going to be out of the northwest between about 20 to 25 miles an hour. But later in the evening, like I showed you, that wind does look pretty light. Temperatures still make it into the low 60s. By the time we get to Thursday, we're going to add a little bit more cloud cover. Temperatures make it into the mid 60s. Friday's looking pretty nice, partly sunny, temperatures in the upper 70s. And then this weekend, rain chances return. Right now, we've got a 30% coverage, but I was looking at some of the latest data, and it is starting to look like that rain coverage will be going up and those temperatures actually go down. But for now, we're going to go 60 degrees, the upper 60s on Sunday. By next week, we're looking at temperatures climbing back into the 70s. We stay in the 70s for a while, but you can see by March 14th, now we've got another chance of showers and thunderstorms. Temperatures in the upper 70s. Once that front passes on by, temperatures only drop down into the low 70s, and St. Patrick's Day, as of right now, looks pretty quiet. We've got Natalie over in Plano. How's it going, Natalie?
Hey, good morning to you, Cassie. We are in Plano, right outside the Plano West High School. There are a couple points of entry for the campus, but we are on the Willow Bend Drive side of it all. Before we shift over to showing you what damage we are seeing from where we are, I want to talk to you about a Plano ISD update. We are waiting on confirmation that classes are resuming as normal, or maybe they are delayed or canceled. Right now, we do have an update on their transportation. This was released about 45 minutes ago, so if you were with us a little bit earlier, this will sound familiar, but for those who are just tuning in with us on WFAA Plus, Plano ISD is closely monitoring the storms this morning. We anticipate transportation delays. Priority is ensuring students arrive safely. Now, it does mention that there may be a bus delay of up to 30 minutes. For your bus route, if you want any updates, you can go to www.pisd.edu/latebus, pisd.edu/latebus, so you can get the latest on where your bus is going to be. Again, transportation delays for Plano ISD. No word on whether classes will be delayed or canceled. Speaking of transportation, I want to make note that we have a school bus right here, so it looks like school buses are on the way, but it is already 7:45. Classes are beginning. This is only the second bus I've seen. The bus route is actually blocked by the roof damage, but speaking on transportation really quickly, traffic is picking up here on the Willow Bend side. People are stopping in the middle of this road to take pictures of the damage. I think we all understand how significant and eye-catching that is. Please don't stop in the road. I've seen almost 2 accidents right now. Don't be dense and do that. I've seen near accidents happen right in front of this campus because people are stopping and taking photos. Please don't do that in the middle of the roadway. Now I want to shift over to the damage though. If you look over there off to my back right, you're seeing someone put down cones. That is where the buses are supposed to come through and drop off students. And that big brown piece of wood and metal, that is from the roof. And then when we pan over to the right again, looking on top of the athletic building of the Plano West High School, that is also the gymnasium, all that tin roof rolled over. Very significant, causing water damage inside. About an hour ago, we were able to go inside the gymnasium to see rain pouring into the gym. So water damage for sure. Cleanup process just beginning here at Plano West High School. All of it just really unfortunate, but people on campus coming now slowly and seeing the damage and just finding a safe place to park. We saw officials here on campus coning off areas where there was damage, and we see a lot of cars over to the far right. If Brandon could shift over even further down, you see people coming into the entry. They are being guided into a completely different part of the campus. In the far distance, you might be able to see the school buses through the trees where students are starting to trickle in for the start of class. It looks like it may be continuing, but we will get confirmation on that again. But they are being shifted into a completely different part of campus and nowhere near the athletic building. With that, I will send it back to you, Mark and Kara.
Well, I appreciate the update this morning, Natalie. And again, you're seeing kind of things come back to normal slowly but surely this morning as that severe weather threat has moved out of our area. I want to share with you our major airports this morning. There's a live look at DFW International Airport. If you are catching a flight today, prepare to wait. Perhaps 189 delays and 212 cancellations at DFW. This is all according to FlightAware. 70 delays and 49 cancellations at Love Field in Dallas. So again, if you are traveling, be sure to check before you get out and about. And of course, we've been keeping our eyes on power outages as well.
Yeah, I do want to mention too that we have an email just in that Fort Worth Alliance Airport is going to be closed until noon now. I get it. It only has a couple hundred flights per day.
That affects
but
folks though.
It's going to impact you. So just FYI. So yeah, so the outage tracker, it's actually stayed pretty steady. Mark and I noted earlier that it was starting to come down, and it's ticked down just a little bit. We get updates every 10 minutes, and Encore just tweeted out a few minutes ago that they have crews who are out working right now. So again, we're talking about people's homes, but we are seeing issues with damage all across North Texas. So expect any of those outages to be at your four-way stops, perhaps at a shopping center you were going to go to. It's going to be all over the place.
Well, we checked in with Janelle Ford a little bit ago. She was at that RV park in Parker and Wise County, kind of that border there, and she showed some of the damage. Brittany Moncrief showed some of the damage on the roadways. We had Natalie Haddad, and you saw the roof peeled off of Plano West High School. Chris Adegi is in Louisville right now, I believe, on the road, keeping an eye on the conditions there. And Chris, it seems like things are clearing up for most folks.
Yeah, I would say the sky is certainly clearing up compared to what we saw earlier this morning, Mark. However, on the roads, we still have a lot of wet roads, a lot of ponding, some slick roads. We're on State Highway 121 in Louisville, and you can see we are stuck in that morning commute. The brake lights lighting up. We're heading to an area where they reported some damage, similar to what you just described some of our other reporters are seeing this morning. Roofs collapsing, things of that nature. So we hope to get there eventually, but at least in the meantime, we can tell you if you are out on the roads, you are running into, well, take a look right here on the right side of your screen, ponding like that here on 121. Also, as we are driving, we see signs that are knocked over. We just passed one that's leaning up against the guardrail. Signs, debris, sometimes scattered across the road. And yeah, we've seen those 18-wheelers. Boy, they have just been toppling all over the viewing area this morning. So as you get out on the roads, keep in mind, even though the storm has passed through, you might still have some of that debris in the roadway. You might have ponding. You might have people slowing down. It might be slick. You might have those 18-wheelers that are still being put back upright, causing slowdowns. So certainly, though the storm has passed, we are still dealing with the aftermath this morning, guys. And back to you, Mark and Kara.
We do appreciate the update and the insight, too. You know, we have our crew stationed strategically all over the area for you so that we can get at least a glimpse of what's happening in that community. And then we're talking to people, everywhere. That's why we're hearing from different school districts at WFAA.com. We've got a complete list of school districts that are continually updated every couple of minutes if there's a delayed start or any sort of issue like that.
Well, we tell you year-round that it's a great time to download the WFAA app if you haven't already. But again, when you have severe weather like this, sometimes you do lose power, so the traditional sources of getting information not always as reliable. So that's why it's so helpful to have the app handy, so you'll get those alerts. You'll be able to kind of keep tabs on what's going on, right down to your neighborhood and get updated with how things are looking where you are.
Okay.